Welcome to day 5, part 2, guiding you from suffering to joy. Enjoy! October 9th, 2022, we went to the Outback Steakhouse to celebrate my niece's 30th birthday. On this day, my sister Michelle left her body and ran into the light. I knew she was depressed and struggling, but I was unaware of the depth of her pain. As my family pulled in, I saw her, and she was smiling and walking with her family to the front door. I heard in my head, what would happen if you lost your sister? I thought, well, that would suck. And I felt this tug in my heart, but I dismissed it. I moved on. After we ate dinner, Michelle said she didn't feel right and just hunched forward. It looked like she died. I've never seen anything like it in my life. I heard in my head, what would you do if your sister just died? So I walked over to her and I started to pray over her. I prayed that she would come back into her body, since we still have books to write and we have teaching to deliver. An energy came back into the body, but it was Michelle's. My nephew Dylan and I both saw this male entity enter Michelle's body. Nobody knew what was going on. My parents asked if Spirit knew what was going on. It was obvious Michelle was not there. Locaeus, Loki, and Marcus were not there. They could not be channeled through her at this time. So I listened to Spirit using my connection. They said she had been fasting, and she ate a lot of food, and it crashed her system. This, mixed with what's called failure to thrive in the medical community, explained part of what had occurred. I called 911 and an ambulance came for her. The being that entered Michelle on that day is known as Benjamin. This is an aspect of Odysseus from the Homer classic, The Odyssey. We began taking notes of things that we heard 3 times. Odyssey was the first thing to pop up for me. I didn't understand why until this occurrence. So sometimes it may take many years before the meaning of a received message comes through for us to learn its significance. I call these little hints of miraculous manifestations Scooby Snacks. Benjamin brought structure, and it lit a fire in all of our asses to do what we came here to do. So we started writing the book. I worked with Benjamin while we silently grieved Michelle. Nobody knew anything. Some of the family didn't really notice that Benjamin was there, not Michelle, but even if they did notice, it made no sense. We learned during this experience that your spirit can leave your meat robot and go to the other side for love and healing, so they can return and complete the mission they came here to do. Michelle kept praying for someone to enter her life that would love her and allow her to be her authentic self. At the same time, she was thinking about how she didn't want to be here anymore. Both of these thoughts led to this manifestation at Outback. Again, your thoughts plus a strong emotion attached to it is your creative manifesting power. I continued to pray for her return. She returned Sunday, December 4th, 2 days after my 45th birthday, which was the best gift I could receive. We couldn't tolerate being around each other as kids, but now we're the only ones we can relate to. We have experienced such wild things in this awakening and have felt insane. I know neither of us could do this alone. I would like to add that the only reason Michelle's spirit left her body and she didn't die was because it's her last life and because she was serving others. We've been trying to help people learn their spiritual side. We've been trying to wake people up. And by Michelle spending so much time trying to heal and love on others while she herself was suffering, this was the allowance the divine gave her so that she could allow her spirit to go for healing, so that when she came back, she could accomplish the mission she came here to accomplish. In 2015, Michelle took Reiki courses to become a Reiki master. At this time, I had been sick for about 3 years, and I was still searching for a diagnosis. I have a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science, and I worked as a programmer until December of 2012. I lost my job because of the chronic illness that came into my life. I was in a bad place mentally. I was recovering from a toxic marriage and divorce. We were co-parenting 2 kids, one with cancer, and now I was really sick. My sister started to send me Reiki, Sihiki, which is a symbol of harmony and protection against negative energies. It was like she was sending me love in my despair. On a Friday, 2015, I felt oddly great and felt like that I could feel the vibration of the earth. I felt like I was one with everything. I felt so good. I felt so connected with spirit. I felt lucky. I I kept hearing a number, so I went and played it in the lottery, which I didn't win. That weekend, whenever I recalled that number, it would send me right back into that natural vibration of peace and oneness that was like cocooned all around me. On Sunday, my husband Scott and I went to his friend's house with plans to check out his cousin's new business opening. The whole morning I felt weird. I felt a presence around me that was trying to scare me. I wanted to listen to She's a Rainbow by the Rolling Stones, and the song is on their album called Their Satanic Majesty's Request. I felt some weird panic, but I kept getting ready for the day. Thought about wearing a dress, but I felt compelled to wear my Motley Crue Shout at the Devil shirt. On the way to Scott's friend's house, I just lost my shit. Felt like it was my wedding day, but I was going to die. Any song that played on the radio, I felt like it was talking to me. I heard Don McLean's song American Pie that repeatedly says, "This will be the day that I die." Started to see the fears I had play out around me. Like I was afraid someone from my past was going to come and kill me, and I saw someone that resembled them in a car that resembled the ones my parents have. And then I imagined he took their car and he was on his way to kill me. Then I felt as if Scott and I were going to crash the car, and I felt like we shouldn't even be in the car. Scott was freaking out and asked if I took any drugs or something, but I hadn't. Good question though, Scott. We pulled into his friend's driveway. I got out and I sat on the grass. She came out and Scott was telling her that I was having a panic attack. She was sympathetic and she welcomed me into her house. I drank my water and I listened to voices in my head that nobody else heard. At one point, the voices started to tell me that Scott's friend was going to poison me. I was afraid to drink her water. Whenever Scott left me alone, I'd look into her eyes and I'd tell her not to kill me. God. I could see she felt offended. Rightfully so. But I couldn't hold anything in. I began to feel like I was having a forced exorcism. I felt stuck between this world of panic and fear, another invisible world where I felt safe, seen, forgiven, loved unconditionally. Laid on her couch, petrified. She was nice enough to give me some medication for a panic attack, and I eventually fell asleep. Before I slept, I felt like a light blow out in my chest, like my flame was snuffed or something. Then I felt reignited in the same part of my chest. I often tease that I died on her couch that day, and I owe her a new one. It definitely felt that way. I was reborn. This was my Kundalini awakening, my Lazarus moment. I felt like there was a party going on in front of me in some invisible world only I was experiencing. I felt like I was dying and being welcomed by loved ones on the other side. I felt surrounded by invisible loved ones, holding balloons and waiting to celebrate with me. As I faced the light, I could hear Loki yell at me. He was telling me not to give up, that it wasn't my time. The angels were getting closer to take my spirit. I could hear an urgency and a desperation in his voice. I saw Cosmo and heard I'd forever regret it. Only part of my spirit left that day, but I feel like it was the garbage part of myself. Similar to the Outback incident where Michelle's spirit ran for healing. Woke up about an hour later, I pooped, I burped really loudly, and then I felt great. It may seem crass to say that I pooped and burped, but my body was detoxing in those events also. This is another symbolic manifestation showing my body was ridding itself of toxins, symbols of a reset and being refreshed. I just had a crazy, life-changing moment that I couldn't explain, but I was thankful for it. I felt new and no explanation for what had occurred. I apologized repeatedly to Scott and his friend. I called my parents afterwards and I talked to them about it. They could hear that something had changed in me. They knew Michelle was sending me Reiki, so our parents called her. They asked if she did something to me, and Michelle told them she was just sending me love. My new freshness and energy were fleeting, but blessings were being created. I was finally diagnosed with Lyme disease in 2014, and I spent a year in my bed. There were moments I couldn't speak, I could hardly breathe. I smoked for about 20 years, but I quit during this time so I could try to live. The Lyme disease wasn't caught in time, so it wreaked havoc on my system. At one point I swallowed about 100 pills a day. My day consisted of drinking water and taking pills. It took years to recover from Lyme disease, and I still have flare-ups. Went from being someone that had a good career, great pay, to jobless and ill and unable to take care of my family and myself. Went from having knowledge of a trade to I lost it. I lost all that I built. This ended up being a blessing because it opened up my heart to more and gave me a glimpse into real suffering. I didn't used to donate to charities, now I do. I didn't used to think of helping others, now I do. I was too busy taking care of myself. When I couldn't do anything for myself, I had to rely on others. When we were in the hospital with Elliot, we were all in a boat in the sea and the unknown. Elliot was in the hospital for 3 months. And this time I saw people that would cater meals to the kids and the families that were at the hospital. I saw people who would dress up to entertain the kids. I saw so much love being given when it was needed. Months later, our family found like 5 Bibles in their house, and they thought they were from Michelle and I. It was like the universe was saying like, hey, this is the way. So we have followed and we have learned. We've spent 5 years with these beings, learning about their lives, our universe, metaphysics, mythology, behavioral science, our chakra systems, other religions, spirituality, self-help, etc. So we could have a better foundation to work with spirit. So we can channel their wisdom into the physical world of form and the physical manifestation of our book and these videos.
The story of Job in the Old Testament of the Bible is a great representation of a spiritual awakening. It shows the difficulty and the loss of all you've built, the pain and the confusion after the loss, trying to make sense of what's going on, not having people around you understand, feeling despair and anger until you see everything has a purpose. It's just beyond your current level of understanding. One day it will make sense. When you are living the new life that Spirit wants for you, you can make peace with your past. You see how it shaped your character, so you can be a blessing to others. If you aren't interested in reading Job, there's a YouTube video by the Bible Project on the book of Job that's brilliant. When we can see we are not the only ones that this is happening to, it can help ease the fear of it. So a spiritual awakening is you remembering that you are an eternal, multi-dimensional, high vibrational being that is in a simulation of life on Earth, which is an illusion. Earth is like a play where you act out your role and pay off your karmic debts for the harm you've caused. The goal is growth or evolution, which is the expansion of your energy, the rising of your energetic frequency as you return to pure divine love. The day I died on that couch, I was in the presence of the divine love. The panic and shame I felt was my meat robot's way of showing me my ignorance in the face of perfection. I didn't feel worthy of this perfect vibration. You need to fix that as you evolve spiritually. It is as if you need to make amends with yourself for all of your choices. The world has taught you of a heaven and a hell, that you were forever punished for your choices. This lie damages your spirit when it is met again with this unconditional love. You were given consequences in this life on earth that you face in this life or the next. You were not free from your choices. Your punishment, however, is self-inflicted. It's not given by spirit or God or source or the universe. This energetic being knows you, why you are here, what you have done, and what you will do. It knows, and it loves you anyway, and it always welcomes you back into its presence. So the voice that I kept hearing in my head that was trying to scare me was my ego. And the reason all of these fears were coming up is because they were fears that I had held either in this life or in previous lives. Our egos are the same ego in every life. We attach to it. So all the garbage it has, all the fears it contains all of them. So all of these fears, all of this energy was being pushed out of me because Michelle was sending me Sihiki, which is removing negative energy and bringing harmony to the body. So this energy is pushing all of this stuff into the light, into the forefront for me to face. It had to be experienced on some level to be released because it was an energy. So all of the fears, all of that I experienced, me thinking the friend was going to kill me, all of it was just any fear my ego had thought of.
it had to play out around me so it could be released into the light. The party that I felt like I had spirit guides there that were like welcoming me. It was like the prodigal son moment. That's why we were being drawn to Bibles. The answer to what had happened was in there. So the party I was met with was me being welcomed back by the Father, and the family was welcoming me, just like in the prodigal son. That's what that shit was. So if you have these type of crazy ass spiritual experiences, no, they are based in something. They have a purpose. Tip: if you view choices as mistakes, this low-level energy keeps you stuck. When you change this from the view of I made a mistake to the view of a choice that taught me a lesson, and see the lesson learned from the choice, you raise your energy field. This act will help you teach your ego the truth and build your trust in yourself and this process. Thanks for joining me again. I hope that you're enjoying this series. Join me tomorrow for what's next. Much love, you guys.